coming at you live, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Yo, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined by John in South Jersey, Tony Justice, the greatest trucker of all time. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Well, like, everything is apparently changing on a day-to-day basis. It's insane how much stuff is going on. First, I want to say Steven's voice in the intro is kind of creepy. He's got me scared.
Well, it doesn't quite haunt your dreams, but it does make you think for a second. You know,
Yeah.
He's not Vincent Price or anything, but yeah, but he's getting close.
No, we appreciate Steven. He's awesome. Okay, so I don't even know where to start. So much stuff happened this week. First, I want to give a congratulations to all of our friends and over at Busted Open and all the folks that are, have launched all this new content on Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7 from, Nick and Bishop and Coach and Sam and just all the people doing all the After Dark shows and all the people behind the scenes. For those that aren't aware, there are a lot of people who have to work to make this stuff happen 24/7. And it's pretty friggin' cool. And from what I've heard unofficially is that the initial response is very, very strong. I've heard that the numbers are strong. I don't even know what that means, but a lot of people smiling over there. So congratulations to everybody over there.
Yeah, it was a good time last weekend with SummerSlam. Myself and a few of us had gathered for SummerSlam weekend. It's always good to get together with the family and the crew. And we went to the tailgate party that they had in the parking lot of MetLife the Saturday before night one. Very well attended. All the shows there. We caught the last part of Sam's show and a decent amount of the Nikki and Bree show. And of course, everybody wanted to see them, of course, and their guests. But I had no idea. They're all wrestling fans, obviously. But the Busted Open part with the core four, Dave, Bully, Tommy, and Mark, was very well received. Very good, enthusiastic crowd. We all had a great time. I'm hoping that if they have, maybe you guys have heard, I'm hoping that they release that either as part of the podcast or an on-demand thing, because it was really an entertaining show, seemingly, for in the middle of a parking lot. It was but it was a really good time.
Is that not on the app right now? Is it replaying?
I have not looked since then, but
okay.
If you see anything, SummerSlam tailgate party or whatever, listen to it. It's it's a quick 2 hours. It didn't seem like 2 hours that we were out there, but it was really great to see everybody face to face. We saw and we saw of course we saw Bully and Tommy and Mark at WrestleCon earlier in the day. Some of us were staying at the same hotel that WrestleCon was, so that worked out real well. But overall, just a great weekend. Always good, like I said, always good to hang out with the crew and get to see people. We had Trenda and Hijacker Mike coming in from the West Coast to spend the weekend with us, so it was really a good time.
That's very cool. It's always awesome when the group can get together, when the Busted Open Nation can get together, and there's so many new people that we've had a chance to meet over the year. I see Kelvin's in the chat.
Yep, I see one of them right there.
I see Neil. Who else you got? RA's here. Is RA speaking in third person? RA Davis reposted the stream. Okay, cool.
Oh. Well, RA Davis, thank RA Davis for us.
That's awesome. RA is always on top of this stuff. We appreciate it. Oh, hang on. Resident medical expert in the chat.
Oh, her.
Okay, so we have to address the elephant in the room. Tony.
Well, wait. Is Tommy here?
No, I said
Why
Tony.
You calling me an elephant?
Oh, okay.
Why you calling me an elephant?
I feel bad for you. It's been a tough week for you. I noticed that you've been blocked by Bully Ray. What happened?
He didn't like my Grease 2 take.
Go close.
So for those that didn't know, so they were talking on the show Friday morning about saving movies to their phone. For some reason, Dave has Vision Quest saved to his phone.
Tragedy.
And so I decided to be a smartass and say that I was going to save Grease 2 to my phone. And I guess Bully didn't like that. And so he commented on my Grease 2 tweet with my profile pulled up with the block Tony Justice AJFA with it circled.
Yes.
So I hadn't literally checked to see if he actually blocked me or not, but I mean, to say that I've come close is an understatement. So yeah.
Shout out,
brother. Hopefully you two can hug it out.
That seems unlikely.
I'm not Deb.
Yeah, we know. None of us are.
No. The big news this week, and I don't think we're going to rehash it in detail because it's been talked to death, but the ESPN contract for WWE PLEs was big news. It was a $1.6 billion contract. There was a lot of, I think, misinformation and confusion in the first few hours after the post came out, but then as it became like there was more information, there was an official post from WWE, from ESPN. I know Busted Open talked about it, Sam and Coach, they all talked about it that day on their various shows. I am personally very excited about it because I have YouTube TV, which means I have ESPN, which means I will get a free login to the new app. So all the PLEs will be free for me. So I get to cancel Peacock. So for a lot of people, it's actually a net positive. There are people who don't have those streaming services that will have to pay the $30 to get the new ESPN app. So that sucks. But for me personally, it's a win.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, if you need any more of a barometer or indicator of just how hot and popular wrestling is and has become, there's 1.6 billion reasons why. This is the number one legitimate sports platform in the world, now partnering with WWE. My only complaint is, do we really need this information at 6 a.m. when I'm just like waking up and trying to get my day started? Can we move it maybe like 9 o'clock or 9:30 after I've had some coffee or anything? Because my phone blowing up for all the notifications I was getting on this was a little much to deal with first thing in the morning. I understand it's big news, but let people wake up.
Yeah.
Well, and this is where I think people have to understand, like, the news came out at 6 to affect early trading before the bell, right before the stock exchange opens. These are publicly traded companies, and this does affect their bottom line. It does affect the share owners in a very positive way. So I think by releasing it early, it stimulates interest in early trading. So I didn't really follow all that. I was just happy for them. I was happy for everybody involved.
I can't agree more. I think this is, and I do believe that, or I should say, I still subscribe to rising tide raises all ships. This is yet another bargaining tool for the wrestling industry in general when it comes to TV contracts or getting exposure on bigger platforms. You have TNA actively shopping for a legitimate TV and or streaming deal right now. AEW just signed their big contract with HBO Max and Warner Brothers, or Time Warner Discovery, but that doesn't say now that they have more ammunition to renegotiate for more money for that contract. More money means, maybe more product on TV or on our screens to see, more money for the performers, everybody getting paid. So I don't see a downside. It may seem kind of confusing, but I'm pretty sure between now and I believe it was starting with WrestleMania in 2026, this deal kicks off, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
right around March, I think I think the contract with Peacock ends either in February or March, and then it starts. They're anticipating WrestleMania might be the first PLE on the new service.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that they're going to have it very well, all the bugs worked out and everything. So people that absolutely want to see it, i.e., fans like us, are going to know exactly what it's going to be. Is it going to cost you more money? Maybe, possibly, but if you want to watch it and you want to stay informed, we're going to find a way to be able to view it. Just doing one of the shows on I think it was Coach's show. A caller was calling up and we're talking about this deal, and he said, "Well, if all else fails, there are 3 letters that makes everything better: VPN." So.
Well, okay. So, Tony, I want to get your thoughts on this, but I just want to lay it out this way. I was talking to somebody in Sam's Discord the other day, and the guy was like, "Oh, I just want the network back. I want to pay $10 for the network." Well, first of all, the network only had PLEs. It didn't have Raw, SmackDown. It did have NXT for a brief period of time, but NXT is a television product now. So even the network doesn't include all that other stuff, right? So, but if you were to look at the WWE Network, they had, I think, at their height, about 1.2 million subscribers at $10 a month. That's about $120 million, right? Quick math. I know, crazy. Currently, I broke down, like I added up all the TV deals per how much per year and all this other stuff. And we figured right now, and they still haven't announced where the NXT PLEs are going to go. We don't know what that contract's going to look like. Currently, it's on Peacock. But right now, they're generating about $2.3 billion a year in television contracts.
That's with a B.
You're right, with a B.
Yeah.
Well, I think
as Bully said the other day, that's billion with a B, as in billion.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the last question of, where's the library going to wind up? Because if you take away the PLEs from Peacock, other than the library, why would you have Peacock? So I'm very interested to see where NXT ends up as far as their library. I mean, yes, they're still weekly on CW for a while, but their catalog of previous either PLEs or shows and the actual WWE, the old network library, don't tell me I can't see my ECW anymore. I will riot. I will march to Stanford myself and beat people with AK-9K if I can't get my ECW. So that's what I'm interested in. The deal now is it's going to be what it's going to be, but I'm just curious to see if they continue to segment because you now have WWE on Netflix, on broadcast TV until on USA for Friday nights, on CW for NXT, and I wonder, are we at the point where we're going to be going to multiple places to say basically all the product?
Yeah. So Tony, I want to ask you a question. So, and this sort of leads into my next question. I think I heard Sam talking about this on his Not Sam Wrestling Live on whatever day it was. So ESPN is a very well-respected broadcaster when it comes to sports coverage, and all of that, right? So there's a sense of a legitimacy to that. There's more of a sport feel to it. There's more mainstream appeal to it because now, John, as you said, WWE's on all these different platforms, whether it's cable or network or streaming or ESPN and like all these big name platforms now, and HBO Max for AEW. We started to talk about the possibility of what would it look like if WWE started to be legitimately in contention for Emmy nominations. And for me, when they were having this conversation on the radio, my brain was like, okay, well, there's not like a moment. There's a lot of big moments in wrestling, but those are moments. To me, like the Bloodline is a 5-year storyline that's like, that's Emmy worthy. You know, there's moments throughout the history, and I'll start it off, and I want to ask you, Tony, your opinion first. This past year, Naomi and Bianca had that incredible storyline with Jade. Jade was injured. Who injured Jade? And the tears, the emotion, and then it all culminates in that Elimination Chamber face-off. Like, that was, you know, I know it's overused now, but that was cinematic to me. That was like great acting. It was like great storytelling. So for you, like, what were one or two things during your fandom that you would think would be nominated?
Well, back in the day, the NWO, when it first, who was the third man? All that leading up to who the third man was for WCW. And then when it wound up being Hulk Hogan, you know, it blew everybody's mind. Like, oh my God, Hulk Hogan is a heel. You never thought that would ever happen. But it did. And that whole NWO, now granted, you know, when it started becoming where, you know, everybody and their mom was part of the NWO, that's where it got, you know, saturated and it got old. But I'm talking about the first, when it was just 3 members of the NWO, that's when it was the best, I think, in my opinion. But that's an example of what would bring people to, like, you know, I remember going to work at the time, and people at work going, "Oh my God, did you see WCW Monday Nitro last night? I mean, they had the cops there, blah blah blah," and they were thinking the real life, the stuff that was going on. You know, they were beating each other up with baseball bats and stuff. You know, they lawn darted Rey Mysterio into the side of a portable building. People that don't watch wrestling saw that and immediately thought that it was oh my God, something's going on, something's happening. And even people that were there, because they were filming that on a sound stage, so people that were in the next stage over or whatever didn't know what was going on, so they thought literally there was a gang fight going on. So that goes to show you that if you can do that, put that sort of storyline together, yeah, it should be nominated for something. I mean, it's crazy that WWE Unreal on Netflix is probably going to be nominated for an Emmy, but the actual product that it come from, the actual performers and storylines aren't. So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. How about you, John? Give me one storyline.
One, it's probably still one of my best or my favorite storylines to date. And it involves 2 people now in 2 different companies, and that's the trilogy and lead up Bayley and Sasha Banks leading up to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, where Bayley beat Sasha to become the NXT Women's Champion. That was that whole arc, start to finish, leading up to their last match, which I believe was the Iron Woman match. That whole arc of that story was absolutely brilliant and so well done by them. And at the time, Triple H and Shawn in NXT, that it was by far the best story in wrestling, period. And absolutely should have been nominated for something just on the performance of those 2 women during that whole arc.
Yeah, and I'll throw one more out there, and I think this is one of my favorite stories in recent memory because there was so much reality to it, was the Ronda Becky story. It was a long-term story over a fairly long period of time. The emergence of the man, and then, you know, Becky gets injured by Nia, and then that all happens with Survivor Series match, but then coming back and all the animosity online and the videos that Ronda was putting out there, trashing wrestling, and it just felt so real. There was part of me that was going, all right, I've been watching this a long time, like, this isn't real. And then I'd watch something and I go, oh, it really kind of feels real. And it led all the way up to WrestleMania 35. And yeah, okay, Charlotte was in that match, but the story was really about the 2 of them and the way that they carried it through. And we know recently that Becky's really good at telling the story off of camera with Seth. So I think that was a incredibly well told story with a great payoff. I want to jump to a couple. We have a shit ton of stuff to carry. So before we go into the WWE stuff, I want to go back to what you said, John, about AEW, because the ratings are up like 100,000 people. People are watching. I tuned out for a while because I felt like the storylines weren't grabbing me. They've done a tremendous job in recent months of like really slowing down and starting to tell bigger stories. I feel like, and I want you guys to weigh in on this, but I feel like MJF and Tony Storm are not only two of the biggest stars in AEW, but Tony Storm specifically, in my mind, is one of the best characters in all of wrestling.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And you're absolutely right from an outside perspective. I watch every week. I am an AEW fan. And Bully loves the term tightening screws. And that's the best description I can give for what AEW has done. They have tightened the screws. It's not just 1,000 miles an hour. We're going to throw 500 people at you in the span of 2 hours, and whatever happens, happens. There's actual, there's structure. There are storylines. There's more developing storylines across the entire roster on both sides, men and women. You have now, besides Tony Storm's timeless ongoing story with whoever she's involved with, you have a reemergence into the main event picture of MJF. You also have now what I'm particularly a fan of, especially coming out of All In, that Mercedes Moné did not win the women's AEW championship. So here she is, the belt collector. She is now up to like twice her body weight in number of belts that she holds, but she is still on the chase for that one that gets away from her, the one she really wants, and that's the AEW women's title. And so far, they have hit perfectly on that they are trying to keep her on that chase for that, and yet still have Tony involved with other people, other storylines centering around the title. But Mercedes is always there right now, and everybody seems to be waiting. When does Mercedes get her next chance to get that belt, and will she? Because there's doubt in their mind. Everybody went into All In thinking, oh, Mercedes is just going to win the belt and collect one more time and be women, and it didn't work out that way. Now everybody's really interested to see if and when that does happen.
Yeah. So Tony, for you, what was a couple things that you think the AEW is getting right now?
Well, like y'all mentioned, MJF. I mean, he's not only in one segment of a program; he's in like 4 or 5 different segments. They're showing him throughout the program to keep you interested, keep you hooked. MJF just did Happy Gilmore 2, which I just watched the other night, and it's fantastic. But he played a major character in that movie throughout the whole movie, and so now seeing him on AEW and getting back into the main event picture with Hangman, I think is the right move. He was with the Hurt Business. They told that story, and they're telling the story with Mark Briscoe. They had that fantastic match last on Wednesday. And then at the end of that match, you have Hangman come down, and Hangman and MJF got in the blows. So MJF was featured in like 3 different stories in one program, but they all make sense. And I'll back up what John's talking about Tony Storm. I mean, Tony Storm I agree front row. She's a great character throughout all of wrestling, not just AEW, but she's taken it to the extreme. Pardon my pun, John, but she's going to conventions and she's taking pictures in black and white at conventions. I mean, she's reaching out beyond the television and going to conventions and still doing it. And that filter that they're using, that red and black and white filter they're using, is amazing, by the way. But I love seeing Hangman as the champion right now. I think Hangman is definitely, I think he's more established this time around than he was the last time when he was the champion last time. It's just that's just a portion of the stories that have got me enthused in watching AEW. And another thing I'd like to add is that AEW finally, I think, they're ignoring everything around them and just focusing on what they're doing. And I think that's helping them get back up into the picture, getting back on the rise. I mean, before you saw the pop shots and you know, putting out stuff on Twitter and talent making pop shots towards WWE. Now I think they've gotten away from that. I think they're just focusing on themselves, and in return, I think that's what's helping them get on the rise.
Yeah, so to me, like the best pro wrestling shows are a variety show. A perfect show is about for me, is about 2 hours long, good matches, good characters, good stories with some comedic elements in there, having a main event storyline or multiple main event storylines, men and women that carry you through. And I think AEW did it really, really well this week, where they have their titles are held by credible people and great stories around the characters of those champions, but also they've never, I've never fault AEW on the quality of their matches. They have unbelievable talent there, but we're seeing the rise of newer talent. We're seeing more focus on people like Speedball Mike Bailey. But for me, in addition to all the stuff you just said, what they're doing with the fall of the Young Bucks has been amazing.
It's been awesome. It's been
seeing them come out with the graphic, having their old TNA names, and like the little poof pyros, like
yes,
yeah,
and half the stage only comes out. They have to crawl out from under the whatever big thing to drop down.
It's so good.
I hope they keep it going for a long, long time, because there's so much material there, and it's going to come to a point, I guess, that it's going to kind of run its course, and everybody will just actually start feeling sorry for them, and then we'll have a Young Bucks face turn, which is coming. But I just hope it's not anytime soon. This needs to extend.
Like Bishop said on the show, it's the bum ass Corbin story, where he comes in as a heel, but then people feel sorry and they're like, when's this guy going to get his chance? As big of, when's. But hey, man, there's a lot of runway between here and there, and there's a lot they can do. So I'm very, very excited for AEW. I do wish that they were able to figure out a way to get us access to their pay-per-views that don't cost an arm and a leg. Like, well, that's $50 a pay-per-view is a lot. It's a big ask, but they are 9 hours long. So
so if you do it by an hour by dollar comparison, you kind of get your money's worth. But
it's true.
You can't have that on a Sunday. You can't. That's the school night.
Yeah,
people gotta get up in the morning.
Yeah.
So something I noticed last night, and I was looking at. I want to bring this up. So we're headed towards, from WWE side, we are headed towards where'd it go? Here we go. We're looking towards Clash in Paris on August 31st, and they're building to it right now. There's only 2 matches confirmed. We have Cena versus Logan Paul, and Naomi retained her title, so she'll be facing Stephanie Vaquer. What's really exciting to me is that, like, SmackDown wasn't necessarily in the UK, but it was an international show in Montreal. That crowd, and we were talking about this, we've been talking about this a bunch, and Tony, I don't know if you were on the show when we were talking about this, but the international crowds are bringing such energy, but not only energy, and Paul Heyman talked about this on Ariel Helwani. The crowd understands their role, who to boo, who to cheer, when to chant, what to chant. Maybe they have to, the cursing does get to be an issue because it gets censored, but that's whatever. The energy is there. So I was watching SmackDown, and I was like listening to people like Bishop and Nick and Nick Nemeth and all these people who have worked with John Cena, and they point out all the little things that he does. And I'm starting to watch. Cena came into the ring, and he does this slight turn, just 5 degrees to the right, and that group reacts 5 degrees to the left. Like, he's so dialed into everything that he does. I paid attention to that segment very carefully, the way that he interacted with the crowd, the way that he interacted with Logan Paul, the way that when he said the champ is here, he pointed at Cody. Like, there's all those little things that just show you why he is who he is. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, I know the heel turn was fun. It was what it was, and it had to end because he only has limited dates left. I wanted to ask you guys, who are maybe a couple of folks or a couple of matchups that you'd like to see before he rides off.
They've kind of already told the Cody story, and he's had the championship. So we can get past that. so we can truly, I guess, fantasy book. I think Logan Paul, believe it or not, it's obviously more of another point to make Logan Paul than John Cena at this point. So good for them for doing that. But
and Logan got 2. He got Friday night's appearance and Clash in Paris.
Right.
It's kind of a big deal.
You know, we've seen so many matches. It's kind of hard. But I guess it would kind of depend on where the other storylines are going. What would make sense to have, Cena face someone for a particular reason. And I don't know if we can manufacture, or if they can manufacture enough of a reasons to have a match other than this, hey, I'm wrestling John Cena for the last time.
Yeah.
So
and we already know that Brock's won. Like they've already pretty much told us that, right? And Cena said that in the promo.
Yeah.
So that leaves. So out of the 11 appearances, 1 is Clash in Paris, at least one is Brock. So that leaves us with a maximum of 9 appearances, assuming one is his final match in December, whatever that looks like. Tony, I want to get your thoughts, but I want to throw a name out. If we're looking to continue to elevate people, someone who can get in there and tell a good story on the heel side, I think there's a lot they could do with Dom.
I was going to say
Dom versus.
Okay.
I think that Dom has earned it. Like he has done an amazing job over the last several years, since he's been a bad guy. Just an unbelievable character development, and he's safe as houses. He knows what he's doing in there. They'll have a good match. I just think there's a lot that they could do in the lead up to a match like that in the week or two prior.
Yeah. There is one person that I'm going to throw out there, and I'm probably going to get heat for it, but I don't care. John, you just mentioned all the opponents they're throwing. There's not really a story being told. It's just a match for the sake of a match just because of his limited appearances. But they could finish the story, so to speak, with John Cena with the final boss at the end, towards the end of his appearances, where the final boss comes in and has one more good match with Cena to finish that story of him turning heel and turning back face, for Cena basically calling him out on SmackDown, not saying his name, but calling him out, saying that he was kind of left high and dry. Final boss comes back in. They have one more match because they've already had 2. Have one more match to be the end, and then Cena come out on top, and that be the end of that story. So I'm saying bring final boss back in. Yeah. Have The Rock come back in. Where it will be, Survivor Series maybe. I don't know, but it just all depends on how they've got all his appearances lined out.
Yeah.
Like you said, front row, they have Logan Paul lined up, and they're going to have Brock lined up at some point. So, make The Rock come back in for towards the end of his final appearances and finish that story.
Well, I do want to see it. I do want to see an exclamation point on that story. I don't know if I want to see The Rock as the final match. I think that you could do a Rock versus Cena Survivor Series teams. That's a possibility. Although I think the Survivor Series has been largely bloodline centered. And I don't know what they're going to build this year, but now Roman's a good guy. So we'll see what happens there. And it is interesting because, like, in theory, Kurt Angle would make sense, right? The people people that are retired and no longer in the ring make sense, but that probably isn't going to happen. I think that Cena is going to continue to have main event matches with active roster talent.
Yeah. What's up, Matt?
Oh, there we go. What's up, Mac? Appreciate you. So yeah, I thought the whole thing was done really well. I was glad that they had that main event match. The match itself was fine. It was, it was the main event SmackDown match. Something I wanted to ask you guys about. I'm really enjoying the Alexa Bliss Charlotte stuff. I think the promo last night was not good, and I wish they had just let them do their own thing because it really felt very scripted. which is weird because Paul Heyman said on Ariel Helwani that they don't script anything anymore. They give everybody bullet points. So whatever those, they were bad bullet points for me. I just thought it was wonky. The interviews I've seen with Charlotte away from there, like on Busted Open and other places, that's the person that we're starting to see. We're starting to see the real person behind the character, and I'm like, I want to see more of this fun interaction between them.
Yeah. It was one of these things that we didn't know we wanted it until we got it, and now that we got it, we want more. And here are two very polarizing characters for different reasons in WWE, in Alexa and Charlotte. And it seems like the old premise, but it still seems to work. The old, can they coexist? Can they get along? But they're not friends. But they're the women's tag team champions now, so they have to coexist. And I look at it partially like I'm enjoying it because they're both interact very well with each other, but also there's a point in both of them. It's like, okay, who's going to be the first one to turn on the other?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what keeps me interested, because they've teased many times, including at SummerSlam when they had their match defending the titles, that, Charlotte's going to, here comes the turn, but it didn't happen, and we continue on. So it's one that I think it's more, I'm starting to, but at first I was looking at it, okay, this is going to go for a little bit, and then one's going to turn on the other. Who turns on who? But I'm getting less of that now, and now I'm actually turning towards that. Okay, you're not friends, but you're making this work, so make it work. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, and Tony, I wanted to ask you because, I don't think that Charlotte or Alexa were the star of that segment. The star of that segment is, and always will be, Chelsea Green.
Chelsea's better.
Yeah.
She's incredible. Everything they give her, she's like, you want me to be in a cake? You can put my face in a cake. It's fine. I'll make it entertaining. It'll be great. I'll make sure that the camera gets all the right angles. And everything she does is correct, in my opinion. I'm just super excited about everything that she does.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Garza says, I love the Not Friends tag team.
Yes.
To me,
you can have dolls.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if y'all saw me on Zoom. We were watching that together, and when the dolls came out, I shook my head. I did. I mean, I'm tired of the dolls. I'm tired of the dolls.
Merchandising.
But the thing I'm most tired of, and granted, before SummerSlam, there was the opportunity to tell we're not friends. We're just teaming up. We're not friends. Charlotte does her thing in the entrance and blocks Alexa, puts her robe up in the way. We're, in front of Alexa, doing all that stuff like that is fun and entertaining. But once SummerSlam happened and they won the tag team championships, when Alexa and they keyed in on it, when Alexa turned and looked at Charlotte in the corner, and Charlotte mouthed something to her and did her thing, and then Alexa did her finish and won.
Right.
At that point, I think, and they hugged at the end of the match. They hugged, and celebrated. So at that point, I feel like the not friends thing is no more, because now you're champions, you hugged and all that. But see, what's losing me is Charlotte is seeming like she's demeaning. They're focusing more on her accomplishments, and I'm Charlotte Flair and I'm the queen and you may hug me. All that stuff seems demeaning to me. And it's making it seem like she's just the same old Charlotte, and it's reminding me of, this whole story is reminding me of the Rock and Sock connection, right? Back in the day, The Rock and Mankind came together and formed a tag team called the Rock and Sock Connection. The Rock did not, even though he was The Rock, he was the great one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he never did kind of demean Mick Foley and make himself look like, well, I'm The Rock. I've done this, I've done that. He may have looked at Mick a certain way and raised the eyebrow at him and did his little stick, but he never once put himself on a higher pedestal than Mick. And And I think that Charlotte doing this to Alexa is kind of, it's gonna lose the fans. I mean, yeah, they're getting cheered now, but I think that if Charlotte keeps on with this, I think it's gonna put that disconnect out there back to the fans, because that's the reason why I think she was getting booed, is because everybody's tired of seeing Charlotte Flair in the title picture. They're sick and tired of hearing all of her accomplishments and stuff. Yes, she is an accomplished wrestler. She is very accomplished, and I respect her a whole bunch. But with this story, I feel like if she keeps on with this, I feel like it's going to lose the fans, and she's just going to get booed again.
I think too that the energy that we saw on the post show when they had made the appearance on the post show, it was a lot more fun. It was a lot more back and forth. It's like, okay, we can use the F word, and they were having fun with the F word and all that. And it was like, that's the vibe that I want from this relationship. More of like a Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, where like Sammy's this high energy guy, still very credible. KO's like the brawler. And so like, to me, there's the dynamic of the clash of personalities. There's so much stuff going on. Like, I know they brought Sami Zayn out to face Solo Sikoa. That was primarily just because they were in Montreal.
Right.
A couple of things I'm really excited about, and something I'm not excited about. I love Damian Priest. I love everything he does. I think he's incredible on the mic. I have yet to figure out how to feel about the return of Aleister Black. He hasn't really done anything that makes me go, oh, I'm glad he's back. I'm like, he's on my TV. I don't have a feeling about it one way or the other right now.
It's almost like he never left. The gimmick, the presentation is slightly different, but it's still kind of the same thing. It's not, and I understand if it's not broke, don't fix it, but I agree. It's not hitting on any one particular aspect for me. Yes, I'm glad he's back, in WWE, or glad he's back wrestling on television, period. But I'm yet to see something that is something I can sink my teeth into with him, or something that, this is going to be a good angle with insert other person here. We're yet to see that. I mean, he's still extremely over with the fan base, but I don't know if that's enough. It's not quite enough for me. I know he's capable and has proven he can do much more.
Yeah, I agree. And someone who I think that does an absolutely incredible job with the fans and super organic, obviously, is Karrion Kross. He's just built this like groundswell of support, and it's incredible to see the fans react to him the way I think Paul Heyman was talking about it. I'm bringing this up because I just saw it like a day or two ago, because he had so much interesting stuff to say. But Ariel Helwani was like, what about Karrion Kross? Like, we're hearing all this stuff about the contracts. And he's like, the guy like had a singles match in a stadium, and he's so over with the audience, and he has one of the top selling merch, and he has a book. And what do you think they're going to do with someone like that? They're going to figure out. But he also said, if he had won a title, if he had a title today, how would you feel about him? Would he have nearly the fan support? And of course, the answer is no. The more the fans believe that he's not getting the opportunities that they feel that he is deserved, the more support he'll get. And a year from now, or however long it takes, the challenging part is like, you don't want to miss the peak. You don't want to wait so long that the fans start to lose interest. Tony, how are you feeling about Karrion Kross and where they are with him right now?
Well, I'm enjoying the groundswell that he has. Of course, we John, we met him at a few years back and got to talk to him personally at the table we were at, and the dude is amazing. He is so nice. He's heelish on TV and does all these things, but he is so engaging in person, and we're seeing that side of him now. When he's doing his book tours, and he's talking about his book, and he's talking about the documentary he put out. I mean, the dude is going above and beyond to do things to get the attention of the universe. Whether or not he's being pushed doesn't matter to him because he's still doing his thing. And he's gotten people's attention, and you can hear it in the crowd. You hear the chants, "We want Cross, we want Cross." You even heard it in the post show of SummerSlam when Triple H thought that they said, "We want Brock," but no, they were saying, "We want Cross."
Yeah.
They know what they have, and I just hope that it translates in whatever contract, that him and Scarlett both deserve, because they're doing the work. Now Bishop did have a point yesterday on Busted Open. If the machine doesn't want you in that position, and you are doing this on your own, and you're going into business for it can be viewed as someone going into business for themselves, and the machine may not like that. But I think that he's got the attention of Triple H and everybody in the office. So I think we're going to be seeing Karrion Kross around for a lot longer.
Yeah. And I heard that comment too. I heard Bishop, he was on with Coach. They were talking about that. And I agree with them. However, if it was the old regime, absolutely. In this newer regime and the way that business and everything is being done now, I don't think that's the case. I think that the new regime would do what we want them to do and lean into it. And say, hey, this is working. This is getting over organically. We don't have to commit anything to this other than what we're doing right now. But you can't ignore it. And I think I'm hoping as well that we're going to see Karrion Kross and Scarlett on our TVs and part of WWE for quite a while. And
sorry, go ahead, John.
If they don't, this was worse when they turned him into a gladiator when he came up from NXT the first time. That was a tremendous flop. And if they don't capitalize on this, it just I don't know what I could tell them other than that they're wrong.
So if you want any example of how the current leadership of WWE has changed from the previous administration, Paul Heyman was very clear about them paying attention to what the audience is doing. But also on the Unreal show, when they were talking about Mania and they were talking about who was going to win, and everyone said CM Punk, and they're like, wait a minute, Jey Uso. And they recognized the fact that Jey had this massive swell of crowd interaction, and they're like, man, what would it look like in a stadium for that? And the crowd, I mean, really, it's been organic. Triple H listens to the crowd. He listens to the audience. I know it sounds like bullshit. They talk about it all the time. We listen to the fans. They can't always do what the fans want because sometimes it's a minority on social media. But when millions of tweets and millions of fan interactions are telling you that this is our guy, this is our girl, this is our person, you have to do something with it. And to make it valuable, it can't happen next Friday. It has to happen in a year. Something else that Paul Heyman said that was really interesting about this is that he said the conversations I'm in are not about next week. I only worry about 2 or 3 Manias out. He's like, we're in a position now with the storytelling and the appetite of the crowd. Like, fans are demanding long-term stories. So they have to book. He's like, we literally look at 2 or 3 Manias out and then work backwards. So with a Karrion Kross, if you say, okay, we're going to sign this act, these 2 people to a 3 or to 5 year deal, whatever it is, they sign longer term deals now. Okay, so they're here. What can we do with them? Well, we're not going to pay this off in a month. We have the opportunity with these 2 incredible talents to tell a 2-year story. And and what does that look like? So I'm excited by all of it. I think that wrestling right now is in a really, really good place. From like every week we sit on Zoom together and we watch AEW, WWE, TNA, GCW, all these different companies are telling stories and giving us characters that we get invested in. So we're in a super, super good place as a fan.
Yeah, I agree.
So I wanted to ask you guys. So I sort of struggle with the amount of content, though. That's the thing that's been hard for me lately. I'm really trying to listen to as much of the Pro Wrestling 24/7, Nation 24/7 stuff. With Busted Open, I tend to listen to Busted Open and Not Sam Wrestling, but I have work, so I can only listen to bits and pieces of the show, and I have to pause and I have to go back. And then the actual wrestling content is there's shows that I just can't catch up. Like, we come on Zoom and Ezra's like, oh, did you see what happened in New Japan? Or Neil's in New Japan. Or you guys are like, did you see DCW? Did you see MLW? Did you see all these indie shows? And I'm like, oh my God, there's 100 hours a week of stuff to capture. So how are you, like, what are you guys focusing on, and how are you feeling about the amount of stuff that's out there right now?
I would have to say that as far as the amount of content, the more the better, because we have so much diversity between different organizations, and the ability to see it and have it readily available. I actually thought about it because we were having this conversation on Zoom. All I watch is wrestling 7 nights a week. I don't watch any other television. And when that particular night, that wrestling for that particular night is over, I use that time to catch up on other things. Or, Saturday and Sunday mornings famously has become, my coffee, and I'll catch up on GCW from the night before. Or the MLW show that happened, or one of the dozen or so indie promotions that I follow. I'll use that time to catch up. But I really, outside of wrestling, I can't tell you. Here, the only other thing I watch religiously, and they're teasing me because they only put an episode. They did the first 3 episodes, and now they only put one out once a week, is Twisted Metal on Peacock. I watched the first 3 episodes, and now I have to wait till Thursday for the next episode to come out. But other than that, I don't watch anything else but wrestling. Now, that's just me, and I don't expect anyone to do that. But that's me personally. I don't find anything else on TV in general, or even streaming or anything, even halfway as interesting as I would get even watching a 1-hour indie show from somewhere in the middle of nowhere that has a person on that I want to see. So I want to ask Tony, because like to speak to your point, John, Liz, you have 7 days worth of content, and now on top of that, you come on Zoom and there's 4 of us that say, hey, did you see this interview? Did you hear this thing? And now you've got 6 more hours of stuff to catch up on that's not even actual wrestling. So yeah. Tony, and of course you're on the road, so you get to listen to stuff more than watch stuff. Like, what are you gravitating towards?
Well, of course, I focus on Busted Open, the live show, because I like to live tweet during it. You all know this. Then I'll catch Sam, and then after that, then I'm usually honestly, I usually switch to music or something, then until I get on Zoom. And then the after darks, I'll listen to some of it. And then I know that I'm getting up early in the morning, so I'll catch the replay in the morning because they air it before the live show Busted Open. So I'll get to listen to After Dark then. Unless Bully's hosting, then I like to listen to it live, but that's just my normal thing. And then unless Chad's want me to listen to the Biohazard album from the mid '90s, and then I'm like trying to fit that into my schedule too. So
it's highly underrated.
Yeah. But anyway.
But to John's point, it's a very exciting time because there's so much diversity in what we can see. There's so many different, if you want, death matches, if you want PG wrestling, if you want something in the middle like an AEW, or you want some of the New Japan stuff, or Stardom, or, Tokyo Joshi Pro. There's like 10 different promotions running seemingly all the time. in addition to all the other content. And there seems to be a growing audience for it too, which is only a good thing for everybody. Everybody in wrestling is making money now. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Great playing field.
Yes.
100%. 100%. And, you know, I didn't necessarily connect with the perspective of Bully earlier in the week about, well, you know, this is eventually going to burst. And I definitely disagreed with some of the conversation around Unreal. Denise and Mark were talking about it this morning about how so many new people are coming to the table going, oh, I saw this on Netflix and now I'm going to watch. Now I want to find out. I want to watch the show. I want to buy a ticket. I saw this Unreal show and I didn't realize how much went into this thing. And they're so impressed by it. And a lot of people are coming to wrestling through that product. And for those of us that have been around a minute, there was nothing about wrestling that I didn't already know on that show. Right. As far as there were examples of stuff. We talked about it on the last show. But I was glad to see more and more people are getting a chance to watch the whole thing and saying, oh, yeah, like this really gave me a good insight into some of these performers or how things are done. And like, oh, I kind of knew that, but now I get to see it. And man, as a fan, I'm so much more impressed. I'm even more invested in these things. So it's been a very positive thing this week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed yesterday, I was listening to Cheap Heat. And he made a point about the people that have the most problem with Unreal are the ones that do podcasts or shows and they're exposing the business themselves.
Right.
And it was like, and I knew he was talking about Dave and Bully. He didn't name him. He did name Dave, but he was kind of making reference to, and Jim Cornette named him too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we listen to Busted Open, and yes, they do go behind the curtain, but they're very respectful in what they talk about on Busted Open. They don't go all the way back. You know, there are stories that Bully and Mark and Tommy could tell that could take you really behind the curtain. But I think they do a good job of towing that line. There's a Dave LaGreca pun. Toe the line. But anyway, Unreal, yes, I watched it. I think that someone made I can't remember if it was Sam or Cheap Heat or who it was, but they said the train. Oh, it was Paul Heyman on Ariel Helwani. Yeah, where he said the train is leaving the station. You're either on it or you're not. Pro wrestling is evolving, and the people that I think have the worst problem with Unreal are ones that are not accepting the change, because when you're an old schooler, you know, or you're older, you have a problem with accepting change. Just like, kind of like, you know, people that are having the problem with the ESPN deal right now. It's the people, they want it the way they want it, what they're used to. They're not wanting to change. But in time, and us as fans, we have to evolve with it, or else we're going to get left behind. So a point I wanted to make earlier about the ESPN stuff, I think they didn't do a good job of rolling it out. I think it's geared more towards the business side of it and not the consumer side of it. I think that they'll do a better job as time goes on. Once we know more information, then the consumer will be more at ease with it. Because like you said, Front Row, you already, you know, you're going to have access to it because you have it on your subscription or whatever, the satellite service, whatever it is. I think they'll do a better job of explaining it as time goes on. But a lot of people, they heard it at 6 a.m., like John said. It was breaking news, so the shows had to jump on it, and it became a talking point all day long. But I think as it goes on and we get more information, I think we'll get a lot more information on it. So
yeah, people have to understand that was a corporate press release aimed at shareholders and aimed at Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
When you have a deal like that, it affects $1 billion deals affect a lot of people, so they have to be careful about how they put stuff out. And this isn't coming out. We're not going to be doing this till the spring. So like we have lots of time to get more information and the app is going to roll out I believe, at the end of this month, and it's going to be including more content, not WWE content, but the new app will be available in the fall through September. So consumers will have the opportunity, those of us that have free access to it, I'm just going to load it and see what it's all about. I have like 5 months to use this thing before WWE is even on on it. So like, I'm not worried at all, but I do think the Unreal thing. And the last thing I'll say about the Unreal show is Paul Heyman said, and we talked about this last week, Paul Heyman said months ago when it was announced that this is a different way of telling stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think, if someone thinks that a WWE product named Unreal that is behind the curtains, which a lot of it is, but they're not going to take that opportunity to seed stories. Like, I'm still hearing all this stuff about the Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. Was it scripted? Was it off script? You know, we've heard from talents and Hall of Famers who, that was definitely scripted. Oh no, she went off script and got in trouble. I heard she got in trouble. I heard that she got reprimanded and almost lost her job. Well, I heard that somebody told her to go out there and do that because it would sell the story. All of it seems feasible. I don't know, but I know that I'm more interested in the story now than I was 2 months ago.
And
so,
and the further that this is stuff that already happened. We know the end result of all of it. It's, you know, if people went into, and I know they didn't make it real clear during the promos and stuff for it, but if you would think that they were filming this in real time and going to show you stuff that's going on right now, well, I'm sorry, you need to look up the word mark in the dictionary and apply that to yourself. You know, it's not like they're not even rewriting history at this point. We already know the time period that they're dealing with. We already know what happened. We already know the main points of everything that happened. So, and now it's just kind of filling in, like you said, it's a different way to tell a story. You know, we all know what we saw on television per se, or watched as it was unfolding, but now we know the backstory to it, the hows and the whys. But it's not new, it's not current, it's not, you know, they're not showing you, you know, even the quote unquote in the writer's room stuff it's still, you know, it's no different than what we saw on television. Oh, this is the point where they said, okay, Jimmy Uso, well, we know what's going to happen with Jimmy Uso. We know what happened. So it's just like, that's when they had the idea. But we still didn't know what actually was the conversation that got us to that point and then to that point either. So I think it's just a lot of noise about nothing. You know, it's another way to enjoy the product and maybe learn something, not so much about how it's done, but the people that make it. So, or produce it.
And we just said that WWE has $2.5 to $3 billion a year in TV deals. Do you think they're going to ruin all that content with a documentary?
Right.
Probably not.
Right. Yeah.
Tony, any last thoughts before we go?
Yeah, Unreal is basically the telling of what you got for Christmas. It's only now you're seeing how it was made by the elves and how Santa got it to your house. It's basically what it is.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
Yeah, good now.
Fair enough. Well, I'm excited about all of it. There's all kinds of cool shit going on. And I'm sure there's something I'm missing right now. Is Collision on tonight, maybe?
Yes, Collision is on.
It is.
Okay. It's so much. I literally lose track of the day. And there are weeks when I'm like, I only know what day it is by what wrestling show's on at night.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's Monday. Raw's on. Okay.
Yeah,
That's how a true fan.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's true fandom.
All right, folks. We're gonna let you guys go. I appreciate everybody watching tonight. We're gonna see you guys next week. John, where can people find you?
You can find me at, actually, I have to change the banner. Twisted Metal Fab on the Twitter does not exist anymore. You need to follow at John in South Jersey, just as it says there on the little banner below me. On the X is still for now at Twisted Metal Fab on the Instagram, and also keep up with the now on tour exploits of the Most Dangerous Weapon in all of professional wrestling. Of course, we're talking about the Ass Kicker 9000. AK9K is out and about with the ever so dangerous and lovely American Kaiju Lindsay Snow, appearing somewhere close to you, maybe if you're in Florida or Texas or Georgia coming up. And who knows, if you ask her nicely, you might just get hit by it.
Interesting.
I don't think I want to get hit by it. Tony, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at Tony Justice AJFA on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're a Metallica fan like I know we are, you know what that means. Ooh!
Metallica just got a permanent channel on Sirius XM at the end of
He
March.
did?
Very exciting.
Maximum Metallica, channel 42. Yes.
Yeah, I think it starts the 29th or something like that, end of the month.
26,
Yeah,
I think. 26.
Okay, so in a few weeks. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so cool. You can find me at PW Front Row on all the socials. You can find us at Nation's Corner on X, The Nation's Corner on everything else. Man, what a week. I hope everybody has a great week. Rest of your weekend. We're going to see y'all next week. Appreciate y'all. Later.